Greetings, fellow humans, and welcome to a thankfulness edition of Go Indie Now. I skipped the countdown because I'm rusty at this, but I do have a wonderful panel of guest judges who are going to judge you for not reading and reviewing, or for not clicking the like and subscribe button. That's right now is when we have to do it. You have to like and subscribe. You have to massage that subscribe button because it is time to go indie now. I am filling in for our wonderful godfather of Go Indie Now, Joe Compton. My name is JD Estrada. I play with my banana in public for the entertainment of others. I write a variety of genres of books. We'll get into that later, but let's see this wonderful, sexy panel of wonderful people.
We're sexy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby. And Ron.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I worked out a couple months ago. I feel pretty good.
So, starting with Mr. Ron, who is sexy and he cleans up very well. Can everyone do a little intro so everyone can get cracking on this?
Sure. Hi, I'm Ron Lar. I write fantasy, science fiction, humor, a mix of all those sometimes. I got my website here. I have two books coming out soon. In the middle of next month, my box set of the Cathaldi fantasy trilogy is coming out, and then after that, my humorous science fiction novel, You Get What You Steal, and then in the then other stuff later. I got a lot going on. Go to my website.
It's good to stay busy, Miss
And
Pinard.
thank you. There. Thankfulness.
I noticed
Thank you.
right before we went live that I'm the only one who does not have my website and my name. But you know what? It's super easy. It's my name. I'm Margaret Pinard. I'm an author of historical fiction. You can find me on YouTube at Margaret Pinard, and on Twitter, that's the only different one, at Taste Life Twice. And historical fiction, mostly 19th century, some romance, some drama, some historical, shall we say, social justice movements. And that's what I'm digging right now, doing research and whatnot. And I may not have anything coming out, but I'm coming up. There we go.
Hold on.
I dig it. Miss Madeline Dale.
Hey guys, as JD said, I'm Madeline Dale. You can find all of my social media stuff here at this website. I guess it's close a little bit. I am a mix genre writer. I have a lot of fantasy, paranormal, and romance stuff out there. I have a new book dropping on January 12th. If you guys want to pre-order it, it's 99 cents right now. Get it while it's on sale. But yeah, just finishing up NaNoWriMo and hanging out with all my author buddies here, so.
Oh, so the first topic is going to be NaNoWriMo or NaNoWriMo. Okay, before that,
Oh, no.
Is it the other way?
we can get into that. Miss Nikki Nelson Hicks, can you give us an
Hi.
intro?
I'm Nikki Nelson Hicks. I'm write in different genres, from anywhere from horror to murder mysteries to steampunk, just a little bit of sci-fi. Pretty much whatever you give me a contract for, I will write for you. So that's what I do. You can find all of my stuff at my website right down there, or of course on the great evil Amazon. I'm pretty much everywhere, and social media too. You can find it on my website, or just look me up, Nikki Nelson Hicks. So
Wonderful. So
yes.
who's I say NaNoWriMo because National Novel
It's-
Writing Month, but that's me.
True.
It's
I see a lot of
NaNoWriMo.
I see a
Is it
lot of people
Rimo?
Yeah,
who
it's
say
NaNoWriMo.
I
NaNoWriMo.
mean, it flows
God,
better
who does
though when
that?
you say Remo. I just said Remo.
Don't say that. It's NaNoWriMo. Yeah. So,
No, but it reminds me of GIF and GIF, and the creator of the GIF says it's GIF, and I disagree with the
I
creator.
disagree. It's GIF.
So you do
So-
you. For me, it's also it's akin to Neil Peart is the drummer for Rush.
Yeah, Rush.
Rest in peace. It's Neil Peart, actually.
Really?
Yes, and still it just
John Constantine is actually John Constantine, but I always feel like a twat when I say John Constantine. So I said John Constantine. Yeah, Alan Moore, the guy who created him, says his name is John Constantine.
And we know that Alan Moore likes a good fight.
He's the uncle of curmudgeons. He's just wants to just fight you.
I don't think I've ever seen. Well, maybe one person is grumpier. Actually, a comic book writer who did Scrooge McDuck, but not DuckTales. And every time he goes to a convention, he says, "Not the creator of DuckTales." He has a little sign that says, "Not the creator of DuckTales, the creator of the comic where they stole the idea." And I'm like, damn,
He's pissed.
No, he lives pissed. The most curious thing.
Pissed.
No, the most curious thing. He looks like a cross between Scrooge McDuck and Larry David.
Oh my God!
I don't know who Larry David is.
Larry David, Curb Your Enthusiasm, and also the co-writer and co-creator of Seinfeld.
You would know him if you saw him.
Oh.
Yeah, his face.
With that resume, probably not.
Yeah.
Has he written anything about the economy in 18th century England related to cotton and sugar?
He might. You don't know.
Margaret, in terms
everywhere.
In terms of niche interest, I think Margaret is a peak that is hard to beat.
Yeah, I know.
That's why my hashtag is Queen of Books You've Never Heard of.
Well, that's always good.
Yeah.
Okay, so I did jot down several questions,
Oh.
and only one person from this panel didn't give me a question, and she, because I'm ousting you, it's one of three, can leave it in our private chat if she wants to ask a question. But I do have three other questions, but I'm not going to start with those. I'm going to start with one of mine, which is, and it's a show about thankfulness. Let's keep it warm and friendly and not
warm and fuzzy. I'm all about the warm and fuzzy. Look around.
What did it feel? Yeah, someone behind you has a boner. Anyways,
yes.
What did it feel like?
He's cuddling his little Cthulhu. Yeah.
What did it feel like the first time you held your first book in your hand?
Overwhelming, exciting, definitely mixed emotions. Like, holy crap, I did this. Like,
Yes.
it's here.
Not as good as holding my baby, but it was.
Yeah.
It was pretty much like, wow, this is real. I mean, an ebook is one thing, but an actual, you actually hold it in your hand and you're like, all these words, you did it. All these words, this is mine. Yeah, that's gotta be it. It's gotta cements it, concrete, make it more concrete. Maybe that's it. So yeah.
Well, as a man, I did a lot more work on my book than on the baby. That just took a minute.
Yeah.
Both babies. I think the whole thing, both babies together is like 5 minutes. And then, so I felt much more excited about the baby, about the book, because I had put so much more effort into it.
Maybe that's it, because I did put a lot more effort in the baby.
And I don't know if you guys know this, but babies are ugly.
Babies,
fresh babies, they're gross. They're ugly. People are
No,
like,
they're
I mean, think about the process.
yeah.
No.
Maybe you guys are all messed up during the birth, but
Yes,
but as
it's all
a
hormones.
man sitting there, no drugs going through my head, I was like, yeah.
Or hormones. It's all the hormones
there
that
you
God has pumped into you. So you look down at this little bleeding, farting, shitting, pissing, drooling thing, and you love it. You would kill anyone in this room for this baby. And so it's
the
just,
baby.
And I'll never forget the feeling I had. I would not kill you for Jake. It would be more like, okay, whatever, man. If you don't like it, that's cool. I was telling someone this recently. When I write a story, once it's out, it's out. I'm already working on something else. I'm like a really fickle lover. I'm done with you. I'm not fucking this. So I don't care anymore about this. I'm over here now. So I'm the wild card of the group. I'm also the one who didn't send you a question, and I forgot. I'm sorry. I was sick all last week, so I will think of a freaking question.
So now that you have recovered your fluids, you're
I had so much fluids last week. All it was fluids. It was Jesus.
If you say it that way, fluids and moist.
No.
Not layoff. She is a horror writer.
I mean,
I was listening to a thing this morning. It was a really terrible, terrible crime. What happened to this person was very, very tragic. And all I could think about is, but what if? What if actually he was a skinwalker? And I start making up this story, and it's like, Brian, my husband's looking at me like, this is why writers are terrible people. You guys take a tragedy. Instead of going, oh, we're going, how can I possibly use this as fodder?
Because we are alchemists.
We are alchemists of tragedy. That's what we are. We take the stuff. How can I make this entertaining? So, okay.
Miss Pinard, your first book.
I don't remember. All I remember is how I feel about it, holding it now, which is like sad first child.
Oh no!
Yeah,
I know. Prettier in the pictures. So.
Yeah, I know. I went down to Powell's electronic book espresso book machine. Sorry, I keep forgetting that they don't have it anymore. But you can make your own book, and I did that. And like I don't remember getting proof copies. I don't remember like holding it and all that stuff. It was like 2013. So.
Well, I remember getting the proof copy. I got it before, but the shipment of books that I had for an event, I got it the day that I had to set up. That was fun. Trust me, sweating bullets. Related to that, what was your first sale like?
That was awesome.
Money.
It was like, because it's a stranger. It's an absolute stranger. It's not your mama. It's not your cousin. It's not your best friend. It's a person. It's just an absolute stranger buys your book. And then, especially if they give you a good review, it's even more like, they really like me. And it's even better when you get your first 1-star review. And they basically tell you how you suck. And it's kind of like, good, because that's what I'm expecting. And now I feel more on level, equilibrium. But also I could join the club. Everyone gets a 1-star review, everybody. So, but no, it was just really cool to know that there's absolute stranger. On the flip side, though, there was this little lady once who bought my book, and then I saw her on the bus. It was at work. I saw her on the shuttle at work reading it, and I'm just thinking, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then later she just came to me and just put her hand on my shoulder and was just like, I don't know how your mind works. Do you know Jesus? And I was like, oh God.
Oh God.
I'm in trouble now. I said, yeah, we've had words. And just walked away, So
he's a great chef.
Oh my God. Really good with his booze. Very, very friendly with his booze. But yeah, it was kind of scary, but at the same time, very, very just kind of cool. Especially when they ask you to sign it, and you're kind of like,
really?
What do you sign? Why? And for my Jake books, I always do a zombie chicken in the very beginning. I'll draw a zombie chicken, and I'll say Wayne's, and I have a whole thing. If you do the Jake books. Yeah. So yeah, tragedy folder is yes. But yeah, I remember it was great. It was great.
Ms. Madeline, your first sale.
Well, mine was actually my mom. So, but my first non-relative book sale, I was kind of stunned. Like, holy crap, you actually want to buy this? Like, then it's like, wait, how did you hear about it? Like, I just kind of, because it was early on, and I think it was word of mouth kind of stuff. But, it was surprising. And then I was like, oh, crap, people are reading my stuff. So, and the fear set in. I'm like,
Yeah. So I think my first sale was probably from KDP, was the electronic version, and they had a thing where you could see the map of like where the book was from, and so I tried to figure out like who it was based on where it was, because I've lived in several places and have family and friends in several places, but I could never ask them, so it was like, cool, but I want to know. Like, yeah, that was a little squirmy feeling. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yep.
Mr. Lar.
It was a positive experience.
That sounds like a Yelp review, like a very.
Yeah, it was a very positive experience.
I recommend selling books.
Oh, yes, it is very good.
What I remember more
in there
is the first time somebody bought the book that didn't live in the United States. And so I knew I didn't know him.
Yeah.
And that was, I'm like, you know, that was more impactful, I guess.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Because yeah, well, you know, I mean, you never know who bought it, you know, because of course you're bugging your friends and family to buy it. But boy, getting the first sale that was out of the country was heady.
And which country was this?
I don't know.
So,
I don't know if you're aware of this, JD, but there are many.
many
There are
countries.
dozens of countries
Outside of America?
outside of the United States. Yeah. So I don't. Yeah, it was a while ago, and I'm pretty old. So it was one of them, though.
Yeah.
One of them.
How about weirdest place that you guys have gotten sales?
Russia.
That was. Oh,
I'm always
Russia.
like, who? Really? Who?
I was thinking like a play. Like I once did a con at a horror and tattoo convention. It was me and a friend, and we had a little table out in the hallway. We were pushed out in the hallway, and yeah, a lot of people just getting tattoos and coming by and going, "What's this?" And books. Oh, okay. And then walking past. I don't think I sold much, but it was interesting. Or all the time I did a con. It was the National Night Market, and it starts at 11, so everyone there is stoned or drunk, and didn't sell a damn thing, but it was very interesting to watch the peoples as they were walking around completely wasted off their minds.
11
Yeah.
p.m. Night
Mhm.
market. 11
Yeah.
p.m. then. Okay.
Yeah, the Nashville Night Market. It was, the table next to us where we're selling bongs, and this table across the room, and she was doing some bang, 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 bang business, was doing tarot readings for $30 a pop. And this was the night before the 2016 election. So everyone was standing in line to get their tarot read. And she made so much money. Oh, I couldn't believe her. She left about like halfway through the night because she's like, I'm done. I've made my money back. So screw it, I'm out.
Wow.
Yeah, she made
They have
so
drained
much
me of my energy and
replenished
replenished my pocket.
Well, also, her girlfriend had a really bad migraine. I talked to them. We're setting up. You're setting up. You're talking to people, and her girlfriend had a really bad migraine. And across from them was a percussion drum band, and they're. So you're trying to sell books next to the bongs, across from the tarot, and then you've got the. Yeah, we didn't sell a goddamn thing, but it was interesting. Firewalkers, people walking around with fire and stuff. It was interesting.
Okay, how about the first review that you got?
God, the first review.
Man,
the first bad one.
You didn't give us these ahead of time, and these are all beyond the reach of my foggy memory, JD. I'm like,
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like this is more of a test than.
Yes,
I remember the first bad one.
Yeah.
The first bad one was,
panel.
oh my God, this is so stupid. Zombie chickens? Oh, why would, And I was like, why are you buying this? It's 99 cents. What the fuck? We screwed. What are we talking about? And so yeah, I looked the person up, and the only thing they ever bought before they bought my book was chamomile tea and knitting needles. I'm like, how the hell do you even find this book? So my very first good review, I don't remember, which should tell you a lot about my brain works. I remember the bad, but the good ones, I don't remember the very first one.
I think we're gonna have to do Margaret. We're gonna have to do like a author 2 tag with these questions.
Yeah, that would be a good idea because then you can prepare. Like you could go back on Amazon and look at the oldest one. But
yeah, I could go look at Amazon. Hold on a second. Let me go look at Amazon.
The first one that you remember, in part, it's because a lot of us have been at this for a while, and it's like what sticks in your memory. And for me, the first review that stuck in my memory was one from like England, from someone that I didn't know, like Ron.
Yeah.
When you realize that someone you don't know bought your book, which is your primary audience.
Yes.
Some people make
right.
This is going to be related to a comment later, but a lot of people say, well, I have so many friends on this social media app, so I should get at least 2%. It's like, don't do that math ever.
Never.
If you want heartbreak, do that math. If you want a reality check, do that math, because you're going to get the check in the mail. The check is going to arrive.
I'd never even thought of that before. Huh. Okay.
But
Yeah.
moving to the next question, which is a little more toned down. This one
I got
comes
one little piece on the review one just to get in there. The one that I remember first is the ones that didn't actually go out on a platform. It was just like, someone told my mom told me to tell this, and I'm like, thank you, but
Yeah.
write it somewhere, please.
Yes.
That is my PSA today. Please put it on Amazon or Goodreads or a blog or a tweet or something so that
No,
someone else hears it.
No, beautiful readers. We're not fond of the Zon. Unfortunately, that's where a lot of people get their wares from, and diapers and books. Leave a review there, please. Do us a
Please
solid.
leave reviews. You have no idea how, even a bad review, any kind of review,
Ugh.
Yeah.
because it
No,
got to
if
get at
Yeah.
least 50
you-
before they even
That's true,
start pushing it.
if you don't like us, you can leave a bad review. You can get it out of
Absolutely.
your system, and you still help us.
Yeah,
You still help us.
that's
You
true.
still help us,
It's
and
a
we'll
win-win.
talk about you, and probably use you as a victim in our next book. So
No, again, I do have a 1-star review. I'm not sure if everyone has a 1-star review.
Oh, God, yes.
Oh, I do.
My only
Yeah.
complaint about the 1-star review is that it doesn't sound like a 1-star review. I'm like, if you had anything positive to say, it's not a 1-star.
Mm.
Ugh.
I
Well,
hate the ones
my
that- yeah, go ahead.
my review that I remember, first review I remember, was a 1-star review, and it started out, I haven't read this book.
Oh God.
So what he was reviewing was my blurb, which included an author friend of mine, a quote about the book. And he said, it's as if these authors, combined and produced a baby. And the reviewer was taking offense because Amazon screwed up and had the pages for my book underestimated by a lot. So it looked like a pamphlet. I mean, this was right when it came out. Because they, this review alerted me to the problem, and I reached out to them and they fixed it. But the
See,
guy's
helpful.
yeah, one of these authors writes really long books, and then this book only has a couple pages, and so I'm giving it a 1-star review. And then the next review, the guy's like, well, I sort of like this book, but I gave it an extra star because of that dumbass before me who gave it 1 star and didn't read it. So that was
we
not
love the
only,
reviewer.
both of those were very enjoyable and very memorable.
Oh
So
my God.
that's my favorite review story.
That is awesome. So this question I'm actually going to write in the chat so I can share it on screen. This one comes from Miss Margaret Pinard. How do you feel about short story collections? To read, to submit to be published in?
I love to read them because I'm cheap and I feel like I'm getting more bang for my buck. Buying a bunch of stories with one. I like to I submit to them, but I really for me it's more like if I can get into a short story collection where there's a big name in it, and you kind of like get attached to the kind of the big name, sort of, kind of, maybe. That's the big thing. Yeah, that's my thing. My thing is because I'm cheap, and I feel like I'm getting more bang for my buck by buying more stories.
That's a lot of fun, I think, just to put like a creative short story out there, or like put it in with other authors' works. It's another way to get yourself out there more, because
Yes.
other people follow certain authors and they're going to read that and be like, oh, hey, let's check this author out. And then, I mean,
Yeah.
I also read them too, because sometimes you don't want to read a big, thick book. You just want to
Yes.
find something along like your go-to almost kind of thing, and just like, hey, let's read something short distraction from the day, and you're good. So,
And writing short stories is even harder than writing a novel. It
Yes.
is. It's so much harder. You've got to put an entire universe in this many bits instead
Yep.
of this bits. And
Yeah.
so I appreciate if someone can write just a powerful, impactful short story. But yes, if you can do a short story collection like it's got Neil Gaiman on it, yes, please. Because
yeah,
people will buy it because Neil Gaiman, and maybe somebody will read your story and go, well, this person doesn't suck too much. And
Relatively, yeah.
That's beautiful.
that's what I'm going for. I'm going for my bar's very low.
I love them. I particularly like when I've read a novel or a series by somebody and I really loved it and I want more, and they have put out a short story collection featuring the same either characters or world, so you just get more flavor, more
yeah.
like, hey, put that
Backstory.
world building effort you did into use with the
Right.
short stories. Because I mean, there are times when you're reading and you're like, well, this isn't really relevant to the story. You know, it was a real weird tangent. But as an extra story, it's awesome.
Yeah.
And then I'm doing a short story collection for my fantasy world. One of the people here is writing for it, although I would love it if you owned it. Because one, an author friend of mine said, "Hey, I love your world. I want to write something for it." And I was like, "Well, that's awesome." And two, it's just so surreal to that experience.
Yeah.
And then three, if you have a bunch of people who are all, you know, working on promoting their stuff, and I mean, it seems like I'm like, why doesn't every author do this? You know, to get the benefit of all these other authors.
The marketing
Because it's
platform.
hypothetical. Because it's a hypothetical group project, and they really think the person organizing it is going to do all the work. That's why.
Oh,
I will say,
no.
I do a lot of
You're
work
right.
for it.
Yeah, you
Because
are.
you know, the stories take place in my world, but they can be new characters. You can use my characters. One guy wrote a story about the main gods of the pantheon making a decision that is referenced early in one of the novels. So that's really fun to see all that stuff. One guy wrote a horror story. There's some humorous stories, and it's just fascinating. But I have to make them all not consistent in tone because I don't care about that, but consistent in the world. You know, I mean, did they get those details right?
Right.
And so, yeah, I am spending a lot of time and energy on it, but it's so surreal to, you know, see the characters you've created, or even just the place. Because one guy, the guy who did the horror story, it takes place during one of the novels in my trilogy in a location they're at the same time. So I mean, that's really it. My characters, what's happening, aren't integral to the story at all. But you're like, for me as an author, I'm just like, that is the coolest shit ever.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
right around the corner from where my guys are having their action, this completely different thing is happening, which is such a, I mean, it just makes the world so real because, of course, obviously, while your stories are going on in the world, a million zillion other stories are happening. So, yeah, I think it's awesome, and I mean, I love everything about short story collections. I love reading them and going, "Oh my God, this is the best story I've ever read," and then reading the next one like, "What a piece of shit." You know, how did these
Yeah.
two stories end up in the same anthology? This first one was so good. I mean, who did this guy screw to get in here? You know, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just, I
It's
think it's all fun. So
it's not easy editing a short story anthology. It's so hard once getting all the stories and trying to get good stories, and then yeah, I've done one and it was hard. I was just an editor. I didn't have anything in it, but that was hard.
No,
And then, of course, dealing with the egos of all the different authors, and well, why is mine here? Why is mine there? Why'd you put mine last? Because I wanted a really strong anchor. Your story is one of the best. That's why it's the last story.
So I'm normally like just a jerk, but to the people participating in the anthology, I have to be nice to them. You
Yes,
know,
you do.
so it's been a real
Oh,
difficult road for me.
takes a lot of
Well, because you know, I mean, so if somebody asks me for feedback, that's really hard. Because you want to be nice, you know, and I want to be encouraging. I don't write negative reviews. I just don't review something if I don't like. We've talked about this. So I try not to be negative about people's writing. But then, so this one guy the one who wrote the God story. He had given me a book of his to read, and I read it, and I didn't love it, but I was very positive in everything I said. I mean, I gave some feedback, but not brutally honest feedback.
I understand.
And then he submitted his almost novella for this book, and I read it, and I gave him pages of notes back. You know, hey, this character is just, you know, two-dimensional, and you know, you need to build all these things. And you know, I gave him a lot of feedback, and it wasn't rude, but it was comprehensive. And he wrote back, and he said,
Yes.
he goes, "This is awesome.
Yes.
I need you to do this every time I give you something to read." And I was like, shit. You know, I really painted myself into a corner here by doing that.
I mean, I
So-
have to say, because I have a story going in his anthology. His feedback, what your feedback was awesome. Because I was like, yes, you're like super detailed. I can just go in and plug in where it needs to be fixed. So yeah, I have to agree with that.
I've definitely changed how I give people feedback because of the process. That's for sure. And I want to do more of them. And I'm like, everybody who participates should do one, and I want to write for theirs. You know, what I mean, I'm like,
That's cool.
I would try and convince more people to do them when I'm done.
For me, it opened up a new genre. I'd never written in horror, and then fellow authors from Puerto Rico were like, "Dude, we'd love to have a short story from you." And I'm like, "Cool."
Nice.
And in Spanish, and I'm like, "What?"
Well,
Well, I'm already in an anthology, or participating in another anthology from one of the authors, and it's historical fiction. So, I'm like, oh, I've never done that, and my initial thought was, well, I'm gonna write where the difference in the world is that only people who are intelligent can vote, and like you have to pass the citizenship test to be able to vote. It doesn't matter if you're born in the United States, you don't automatically get to vote if you're a freaking idiot. And so I thought that was very funny, because no one would ever be able to push that as a plank of their platform. If you're I'm running for office to stop dumb people from voting. That's like 80% of the people will be disenfranchised. So anyway, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm very excited to participate in that genre. I mean, it just sounds fascinating. So
That's cool. Relatively quick question. How do you guys treat your acknowledgement sections in your book? Because in Shadow of a Human, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 8.5 pages of acknowledgements because I went.
You went nuts. Wow.
as a jerk, I don't hardly do anything.
I thank myself for being
Acknowledging
awesome.
That
Mine
sounds like something I would do.
So
I thank. Go
it
ahead.
gets longer. The more people I meet, and the more people influence my writing,
Right.
it gets longer. So.
And I always try to thank my beta readers and thank my editors and anyone who may have helped. Usually other authors who have helped me with the story, and of course you always throw your family in there because whatever. So yeah. I have to take more time with my dedication, who I dedicate the story to. That's always much more important to me.
Mm-hmm.
I thank people in private.
So that no one else knows if it's happened. That's clever. I think acknowledgements are probably like 3 pages. It was like the standard, and that's what I've done usually. And they're hard to write, but the book I'm working on now, I've kept a running tally of the people I've talked to for research and ideas, and it's like probably at 5 pages now, and I'm not finished. So yeah, it's gonna be a long.
So I don't read the acknowledgements when I read a book. I skip that garbage.
Yeah,
I don't
tend
care who
to
helped you write the book. I
well.
want to read the book.
No,
But it's
I do
there.
read it.
I mean,
I do read
if anybody
it
ever
because-
questions it, you can be like, "Yeah, you're in the acknowledgement section. I mentioned your help in there. You can't get
It is
mad.
weird.
It's there."
Yeah. When you are mentioned and you're like going, "Oh crap, I didn't even read it."
I do it because of albums, CD albums from the 90s. There was a lot of bands that you would be like, okay, why did Axl Rose thank Shannon Hoon from Blind Melon? And then you find out that Shannon Hoon sang vocals and that they were friends, and you go like, what the and then you see the people that link, and then you see who's friends. And for me, I was always interested in that, and I've discovered at least 12 bands thanks to acknowledgement sections, and I go like, okay,
all right. I'll start doing that then. That's okay.
I still am not going to do it. It was mentioned. I was in an acknowledgement for an album in the olden timey days, and I was like, neat.
Am I getting 10%? I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah.
I think I got a free copy of the album. That was
I
like.
didn't even get a free copy of the book.
So that was something. But yeah, I'm not going to do them. Well, in one of my books, the book that JD bought, I make fun of acknowledgements in the middle of the book. So that's something. So
that's
I can tell you what I think about them.
That's funny.
Okay, so what's a tough lesson that you guys are thankful for in life or in writing?
Whew.
Well, success isn't what you think it is. When I was a kid, I really thought you're going to write your book and you're going to get published, and suddenly this red carpet's going to roll out and the whole world's going to see you. And it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. No one cares. I remember publishing the first thing and going to Kroger's and going to the supermarket and thinking, "Hey guys, I'm a published author." And no one cares. No one cares. No one's looking at you different. No one's looking at you different. Your world is not different. So for me, the idea of what success changed a lot.
Mm.
I am now far more focused on just doing a good product and finishing a good product. So for me, it was just, I learned that success is different. I just
Sounds like you should have learned that Kroger's sucks.
Kroger's, well, that's all I got here.
That's Ron's takeaway from the story.
Yeah.
It is.
Kroger
I hate
sucks.
Kroger's. I already did, so I was
too many-
predisposed to dislike them.
Too many
well.
cinnamon scented brooms in the fall.
Yes, I have a friend who, she can't never go. She can't go to the grocery store because of those. It puts her into the hospital. So, yeah. So
I think they smell nice.
Wow.
I do too.
Minority opinion, but okay.
I like
I
them
do
too.
too.
I don't have
No,
any
They don't bother me.
My
but-
little
problem
bit.
is my wife and I, we make new recipes all the time, and we'll try like a Peruvian day, a Peruvian menu, or Lebanese, whatever. So we're always looking for some pretty specific things. So we normally go to more than one grocery store, and we never go to Kroger's, which we have a friend of mine, because their prices are so bad. But we might go to 5 stores, an Asian market, Costco. A bunch of different places. So, but yeah,
my main thing
the
with
closest store
Kroger's
to
is
us
that
is. I was just gonna say the Fred Meyer's the closest store, and I don't go there.
We have Kroger's,
for
Publix,
us-
and Walmart. That's what we have. So take your pick.
For us, Kroger's, it's always like, okay, let's see what they don't have from our list, and it's always more than what they do have, and that's why we go to other places, because it's super frustrating. But they're like the only place that have like 3 things that I can't find anywhere else, and I'd go like, what the hell?
Oh yeah, my grocery shopping is always 2 or 3 different stores, but I'm just used to that. That's what I do. So.
But you only have Kroger's, so you go to 3 different.
We have Kroger's, Publix, and Walmart. That's all I've got around here. So.
Okay. Madeline, Margaret, tough lessons?
Keep looking. So one of the things I started the indie author approach with was experiment, like do a few things each time differently and then see if it works, so that you can keep it or shove it. And where I am right now, I feel like the biggest lesson has been keep looking. Like, the thing you've done is not the only thing ever in the history of the world. So if you didn't succeed based on your own expectations or others, like, keep looking, whether that's for a different community or a different platform or a different format, because there's always something you haven't tried. And isn't that the joy, is finding a new thing and getting interested in it, rather than, I don't know, sitting back on your laurels and thinking that you figured it all out, because then you'll be alone.
Yeah.
No. And there are some people who really have it figured out, and you go like, okay, good luck, buddy.
Yeah. Look at that. Yeah. Yeah.
Mine is really like partially not to give up, no matter how bad the reviews are, like not being able to sell books right away like you really had hoped. Just keep going forward, keep putting yourself out there, because it's not going to just sell itself. You have to put a lot of work into it, because that's one thing people don't realize, how much work goes into selling a book and getting it out there.
Yeah.
So
They do not.
No.
Remember us when you make it big, and it's like, did you buy my book? No.
exactly. Yeah. And you're like, when your book turns into a movie, don't forget us. And I'm like, first off, you got to buy my book first. Leave a review somewhere, and maybe in the future.
Off the acknowledgement list.
Right.
Yes.
No Christmas card for you. Okay.
For real.
Actually, I'm going to follow that up with Madeline's question, which is, what is something your writing career has taught you that you're thankful for?
Oh, it's like similar.
Exactly. It's kind of related, but it's like a little slightly.
Instead of a tough lesson, something the writing career. Oh.
And when I came up with this question, I was thinking about how thankful I am for all the new author buddies I have. Like, since I've been doing a lot more reaching out and being on the show and stuff, and like communicating with other authors, because everybody's taught me something different just chatting. So
it's got to be that you may have. I mean, I grew up thinking that I was alone, and you find out, no, you're not. There's a lot of people out there who are just as weird and enjoy the things you enjoy. And that's what I love about writing communities, is that I can talk about characters, or I can talk about, I got this idea this morning, so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. And they don't think you need to be on medication. They understand that, well, you're just working on a story. I mean,
And that's how your brain works.
Right. I'm very lucky my family understands that. When I say I start talking about the story ideas I'm working on, I start talking about them, and my husband doesn't instantly turn off. He listens, and very quietly and gives suggestions. But it's got to be one of realizing that I'm not alone. And it's got to be the biggest thing is that, and how much fun it is. You can have fun.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, I've got an answer for this one. Something my writing career has taught me: it's not a great profession when you're on the dating scene.
Really? Why? I'm an old married lady, so I have no idea why.
Because it just prompts people to ask stupid questions, so it's not a conversation starter. It's just like, yeet.
I'm thinking it's like that with friends or coworkers, and they find out you're a writer.
Very, very sweet. We're all thankful for you too.
Oh,
yes, I had to share that. By the way, Anita's one of the most.
She's
the anti-Ron. She acknowledges and thanks everyone. She's super cool.
She's lovely.
You're also
she
super cool, Ron.
But I didn't think about that. I'm with friends when other people who. I mean, it's not like I go to dinner parties and go, "Hi, I'm a writer." If it gets brought up, I really, really kind of squash that thing down because I don't want to deal with it. They start asking you questions. They start going, I've got an idea for you. How about this? Look, you write it and we'll share in the profits. I'm like, no, baby, no. I got enough voices in my head. I don't need yours. Thank you very much.
I don't go to a dinner party and announce that I'm a writer either. I announce that I'm an author.
Author.
No, I'm just
kidding. Writer.
Ron goes to a Kroger. He goes to the center aisle. And says, I am an author. And
I'm an author.
No, I go to the Kroger.
And your prices suck. And
I just start punching people.
Bring me your green onions, 2 for $1. Yeah.
$5 for one green onion? You sons of bitches.
Two. No, they're 2 for $1. That's all it is. So I always get my green onions there. So
I grow my green onions, bitch.
Oh, ooh.
Feel the heat. Ooh.
Oh, shoot.
Okay.
Except in the winter, I mean, I want a greenhouse so I can grow them during the winter. I haven't got it.
Switching it up a bit, what's a gesture from a fan that has taken you by surprise that you went like, oh, what? In a positive way. Let's keep it positive.
Positive. Well, for me, I once had a person contact me. She's a guidance counselor in Louisiana, and she was helping a kid who was having problems with his studies. He was having problems. His biggest thing was English and reading. He didn't want to read. I don't like it. I hate it. And she happened to have my Sherlock Holmes book on her shelf for some reason. He saw it and said, well, I'll read that because it's Sherlock Holmes. How hard can it be? And he loved it. He read it in one day, which was phenomenal for him. He had a reading disorder. He read it in one day and he wanted to read more. So she contacted me to tell me that I had done this thing. And that made me feel really good that, wow, if I've done one good thing, that I've helped this one kid maybe start him off on reading, and that reading isn't always bad. There's good stuff out there. It's just a lot of schools force you to read, boring literature. And it's fun to read good, fun stuff. So that's one thing that a fan or a person has contacted me about.
What about you, Madeline?
I can't think of anything, honestly.
You're gonna get there. How about you, Margaret?
Yeah.
It's gonna happen, and it's gonna take you by surprise.
It will.
For me, at an event, someone took fan art, and I was like,
"That's so cool. That's kind of my goal."
I'm like, don't choke up. It's like keep because you're surrounded by people, and it's like, yeah. Mm-hmm. It's
that's kind of my goal. Fan art.
Yes, me too.
That was very cool.
I particularly appreciated being included in Jeremy Fee's bracketology thing. I was up and compared to like Ken Follett and Stephen King, and I was like,
wow.
There we go. All right.
Yeah.
That was fun.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Ron? Anything that you're thankful?
Sure, of course, many things. One of the earliest was I put my first fantasy novel, I was putting it up on Royal Road because I wanted to use it like beta readers, basically. And I got some great feedback. It was very positive, but the nicest thing, the thing that I was most thankful for because it inspired me to keep going, it gave me more confidence, was this person who they commented a lot and were very helpful, and so I sent them a thank you. Boy, I really appreciate all the stuff you say, and I'm taking it seriously, and thank you so much. And they wrote back and they're like, I don't understand why everybody isn't reading this book. Which was such a sweet thing to say, because Royal Road is a lot more like lit RPG readers than fantasy readers. So I wasn't getting the kind of response that new lit RPG was, just because it wasn't the kind of thing they wanted to read. So I was disappointed. But that one comment was very motivating, and I'm thankful for it.
People don't know the difference one comment out of the blue can make.
Right.
I've lost count how many times I'm having like a crap day that I go like, oh man, and then someone, I don't know if I'm sending out, I don't know, vibes or whatever, and then they drop a message that I go like, okay,
Yeah.
stop your BS, keep going, be thankful, trudge on.
Exactly.
Your story has helped one person get through a bad time. That's my thing. My stories are just pulp and fun. I'm not trying to change anybody's life. And when I get comments from people who say, I was sick, I had Lyme disease, and I just read all your Jake Ishnaheji. I loved your Jake. Hope you write more Jakes. And I was just like, I helped this one person. So, maybe they'll get me into heaven. So
right, at least.
I thought you had words with Jesus, Nikki. I don't know.
Well, me and Jesus could be really tight. You don't know. So I would.
It sounded like you fought with him.
Yeah, I had words with.
I am. Yeah,
well, I had words with him.
Right.
I set him straight.
We talked. So
it sounds like the other was this Northern Irish phrase that I really liked. You're about to catch these hands.
Ooh.
And you gotta do it like that.
Nice.
Okay. What's a good habit you're thankful for? A lot of us have habits that are questionable, but we have what are good habits.
He shows a drink. Oh, you think this is coffee, don't you? Have some hands. I always carry with me something to write with. I usually a little bit book or something, and I write. If I hear a phrase, I write it. If I see a name, I write it. Or on my phone, I keep a note. And I'm kind of happy for that, although it's kind of annoying to other people around me because they're like, what are you doing? For me, that's a very great habit because you never know I'm going to need a name or just something that just sparks an idea. So that for me is kind of, a little habit that I've been finding. Spicy juice. Mm-hmm.
The juice. And you spell it JOOS.
Yeah. Well, this is mostly tea. So
mostly.
Tea is sadly gone. I'd say it's similar to Nikki's. Like reading is my habit and like my escape. So when I'm reading, it feels like some people would do when they're working out or doing kickboxing, or when my mom goes to like water the plants. That's what she calls it, and she's like meditating. Or when people are like listening to it, like rock music that I can't understand. Like everyone has their own method of sort of zoning out, going to that place. For me, it's reading because I'm just going to another place and absorbing someone's words and taking in rather than worrying and like putting out all these things that are just on a loop. So I think that helps both clearing like mental space as well as like absorbing different styles, but not like studying it,
Yeah. Reading is self-defense. That's what I used to call it.
I like that.
As a kid, I read all the time. It was a way, as my therapist is telling me now, compartmentalization and what else the word she used? Oh, masking was through a reading. So, yeah.
Mine's created a habit of I just do and I have to make myself be okay with like absolutely nothing and just like let everything settle, because I used to go to reading, but since I've been writing so much more, I just need my brain to shut off. So.
There's another good habit, which is dancing. So if you need something that's like completely different, that's not like writing related, like Maddie's saying, it's the same kind of muscles. Like, yes, do a 10-minute dance break and like you get some endorphins and your mind connects.
Pilates. For me, it's Pilates. Just going to Pilates and having a little 20-year-old blonde beat me up for an hour. I'm there. So, yeah.
Ron.
Ron? God damn it.
In terms of writing, a habit I think is helpful, or that I'm grateful. I forget the question exactly. Is working on multiple things so that when I get to a part where I don't want to, it's like connective tissue. I have to get from point A in this story to point B, but I don't give a shit about how they get there.
Right.
And I'll lose my desire to work on that. Just being able to go to something else is fun, even if it's editing or but I always have other stories going. And then in terms of non-writing life, I think gardening for me. I mean, I love reading. I love dancing, old white people dances.
The foxtrot.
The waltz. I'm great at waltzing.
The boogie.
In fact, my wife and I did dance lessons because I was like, hey, for date night, let's do some class together, right? Language, art, musical instrument, whatever you want. She chose ballroom dancing. And we go, and my parents were dancers, so I had done a lot of dancing when I was a kid. So we start, and the instructor's like, oh yeah, not that kind of dancing. But the instructor's like, oh, this is Laura, you're so lucky because most of the guys are dragged here and they suck, and Ron is so great. And then we get to the Latin dances, and he's like, move your hips. I'm like, I am. And he's like, oh, you're not. And never did I get another compliment about my dancing from the instructor again, because
This
we
is
were
white
done with
man
the
dancing. This is how we move.
yeah, the
This
old
is-
white guy dancing. Perfect. Oh, you're
Yes.
great at that. Anyway, but gardening for me, I feel a ridiculous sense of accomplishment when I get to prepare dishes with food I have grown and processed. And just being out there is awesome. And I'm not a huge nature fan. I don't I don't go camping. I don't enjoy dirt
dare you,
in
Ron.
general.
No.
But gardening, yeah, I really dig that.
So here's a
That
question.
was a joke, even. There's a pun in there a little bit. I dig it.
I dig it.
You dig it.
When you compare the effort you put into gardening and what you get back, which we've all heard and been salivating about, like the turkey leftovers and everything, what do you think about that compared to the effort you put into writing and what you get back from writing? How would you describe and compare the two?
Gardening is much more fulfilling. Because
more consistent too, right?
well,
Yes.
gardening, the plants go nuts. Like we had a zillion. Well, one, I made some poor calculations. We grew 1,000 potatoes this year, and we really overplanted corn. But then there's things like cucumbers that you plant them, and if they go, and there's way too much. So we're giving cucumbers all over the place, and we had a lot of tomatoes, so we were giving a lot of food away to friends, which is fun. But if you put effort into gardening, you are practically guaranteed a bountiful return. With writing, that is not the case. I mean, unless you're, such a famous author that you write something shitty and people still buy it because of your name.
Right.
That's not as an indie. That's not what I experience. So yeah, that. But that there is something about that, that, hey, no, I know that this work will pay off for certain, and I'm going to have delicious food.
Good balance.
And we grow fruit, vegetables, and herbs. We grow 20 different herbs. So, I use something from the garden every day. I mean, even now, we dehydrate a lot. We freeze, so even now I'm, like the strawberry rhubarb that was frozen stuff from this year. And yeah, much easier. Gardening is much easier than being a successful author. And I have a friend who we started at the same time, and he is much more successful than me. I hate him. Enemy. And I remember I was on an interview, a podcast, and the guy's like, "Well, how do you measure success?" And I'm like, "Doing better than him." That will be being successful.
Completely healthy. Completely.
Yes.
Healthy.
Exactly. Thank you.
But
to
show
it's not
another
about healthy, it's about honesty.
No, to show another side of Ron, or the potential for another side of Ron, here is his question for the panel. And I'm skipping all the other questions and just going to the panel questions because we're going to go a little bit over, but I want to get to the questions that you guys were so wonderfully kind to provide. have you discovered any surprising silver linings during the past year that you are grateful for? I still have new fans to meet in places that I didn't expect and back home, and it's been very lovely, at least for me.
Well, let me answer so you can see where I was coming from with this.
Yeah.
So my mom has Alzheimer's, like super bad. In fact, she has, we believe, two different things happen. So she has vascular dementia and Alzheimer's. So her mother had Alzheimer's, and I grew up around that, and I thought it was going to be the same thing with my mom. It's not. It's like 100 times worse and more heartbreaking and emotionally impactful. So in the last year, we sold our house. My wife and I had a big house, and it was awesome. And we sold it, and now we live with my parents in cramped quarters, and we're building some buildings. But until that happens, it's very crowded and unpleasant. And then, of course, it's been so much worse than what I expected. So it's been a very trying year. And I will say, as an aside, I'm super thankful for my wife, who is so awesome and dedicated to family that she's willing to do this. But the silver lining was, I'm in my 50s. My parents are 79. And while everything involved with my mother is a tragedy, my dad is, and he's my stepdad. He married my mom when I was like 4. So I just call him my dad. But I don't know if you guys were ever teenagers, but I was like a classic teenager. And so I was not very nice to my parents. And while I have apologized a million times to them, and I stayed in the area, so we grew close and had positive relationship and all that. Living with my parents and being around my dad all the time has been the surprising silver lining, because coming over to help him out, because I lived about 45-minute drive away. So, I mean, it wasn't like I came over every day, because I was an hour and a half of driving. But, every week I was there, and we spoke on the phone a lot. And it's still much different from having the opportunity to live with him and have that relationship again that we haven't had since I was a kid, that much time around each other. So that was what inspired this question.
Cool.
It's a beautiful answer, though.
It is. It's going to be hard to follow that too, Ron.
It's like, what about mac and cheese?
Mac and cheese.
Oh shit. That's right. I wrote that question to just screw all of you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The silver lining for me that I've kind of found in the past year, with everything that's been going on with the pandemic and everything, and all the crazy emotions and everything that's been going on, that's affected my writing, and kind of sometimes it has bled through. But I've found that the silver lining for that was having others like me who are authors who are dealing with some of the same stuff, like getting on to talk with you guys on occasion, like on this show and stuff. Just that's been my silver lining to help me process all of those emotions and continue writing.
That's nice.
So thank you guys for being awesome.
Well, this year's been really hard in this house. Brian lost his job, son lost his job, daughter hates her job, so she's trying to find a new job. So it's been really stressful in the house. But the biggest thing that happened this year was when Eric died, Eric Myers. It really threw me for a terrible, terrible loop. And at the time, the thing is, I don't understand why. I didn't even know the guy. We met each other on this show. We did a couple of shows together. We talked offline, but I really, really admired him. I thought he was great. He was funny and feisty, and he was brilliant. I really, really admired him. And when he died, I went into this really deep depression. I could not write. I could not do anything. I still did shows, but I was masking. I put on the mask. And because of him, I actually said, this is it. I mean, I fought with depression and all this shit my entire life. This is it. I'm going to see about getting into therapy, which is hard right now. It's really hard to find a therapist that's open. They're all freaking booked up. But I did. I found one. She's like 10 minutes away. So I got into her, and it's been fascinating to learn about things. And I'm just started this journey, and it's been, I'm getting more and more unclogged. I'm writing now, I'm working, but going to therapy and having someone listen to you talk about your past and listen to you and kind of go, no, sweetie, that is screwed up. That you're not crazy. Hard to find you don't. I know, but so far she's worked out pretty well, and then we're going to see how this works out. But for me, it's been great. I'm finding out more. I'm having the dreams now. I also have been finding friends who are saying, "Oh, so you started the trauma workshop? Okay, so here's some shit that's going to go through." And I'm starting to have the dreams now. Like, yeah, dreams. Yeah, it comes. Trust me. Yeah, you work on the dreams. It's been fascinating to learn more about myself, and of course, being a writer and a charitable person, I'm using it all for fodder. This is all great fodder. I'm using it all, man, for a story idea that I have down the line. But yeah, for me, going to therapy pretty much was my silver lining this year. And it really took Eric's death to push me finally over that edge, because I just could not shake it. I could not shake it, crying constantly over someone I barely knew. So
I knew Eric a bit. There's other people in the community that were a lot closer to him,
Yes.
or were in a relationship with him, and obviously it hit people differently and very hard. And that's a great silver lining. By all means, I hope that your message gets to other people. If you need help, get help.
Get help. Oh,
and
God.
if you can't find help, look for option B, C, D, E, F.
All of them.
Be stubborn for that. I think that's a great silver lining.
Because suicide's never the way. Never.
No.
All you're doing is leaving behind a wound that will never heal. He's not my first friend. I've had 2 other friends. So yeah, no. Don't do that, because you just leave this huge wound that never ever heals.
Yeah.
Okay, now that I brought that down, who else is
Madeline, Margaret.
Oh my God, I was the last one, right?
I was gonna say I said
No,
mine
Margaret.
already, but Margaret,
Wait,
it's
yeah.
Margaret's turn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
No, and I did say my silver lining. So since
Okay.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
We need Mark.
let's follow it up with Nikki's question.
No, Margaret hasn't gone.
Yeah, Margaret's gotta go.
Okay,
Don't marginalize her.
Oh,
JD.
God.
Margaret and Eliza.
So I guess I would say the silver lining for me during the pandemic, the past year, would be 2 steps. So I got involved with A Mighty Blaze, which is a nonprofit author community based in Boston, started by 2 Boston area authors that does author interviews, and they have 8 shows a week, and they have different genres, and they are trying to do lots of different things in the community to keep authors afloat who are like getting caught in the cracks in the traditionally published world. And the second part of this, besides all the people that are great and that I'm like learning about a lot about the industry, second part is that I am seeing ways to connect to people, and like people opening up in a vulnerable way, which is amazing, and not being transactional about that, even though I'm at a place where like I'm trying to see what my next steps are, but like enjoying this intermission where I'm just connecting with people because they're fabulous is also a good step. And like being, okay, just appreciate this for what it is. And you're still unemployed, deal with it. Like, okay. I can sit there. That's like the learning that I've been doing. That's a silver lining.
That's a good one too.
It's a very good one.
Let's switch to Nikki's question.
No.
And by the way, Going Dina is also on Twitch, so by all means,
I've
check him out on
Yeah.
Twitch. Which are you more thankful for, editors or beta readers? That's a loaded question.
I'm gonna say beta readers, just because like you can have beta readers, like multiple beta readers, read your book at a different time in the editing process and get feedback constantly. And like I will use beta readers all the way up until I send it to my manuscript to the editor, and it kind of gives me another way to polish everything off better. And then my editor still gives feedback. So, because there's sometimes I'll get better feedback from a beta reader than my editor at times, or like just on a certain section. And I'm like, oh, hey, that's another way to look at that. So, I mean, yeah.
I'm just going to say both. I mean, both are amazing in different ways. So thankful.
For
What
me,
a
it's
cheater.
I was going to do it. To me, it's like a cake. You start off here with beta readers, and they really do help you build.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's really ready to get completely and utterly, because to me, editors are like, they polish it like a gem.
Yeah.
then it goes to the editor. So
Or
actually, for me, it's
like whatever JD is using to polish his banana, because there's
the banana. So polish a banana. But yeah, for me, but beta readers, editors have a more professional feel, because they really are looking at more at the market wise, and beta readers are more like readers. They're reading it for the reader. There's readers and there's writers, and it's really hard to find one that reads the same way.
Yes.
For me, beta readers, because editors you seek out and you pay for and whatnot. Beta readers are people that are doing you a massive solid.
Yes.
And they're going to read a book to help you out.
Right.
That's crazy.
That's
very
crazy.
beta
For beta
readers.
readers.
Yeah.
For me, beta readers, because the response to particular things. I mean, there's certain times where I'm writing and I'm aiming for a particular impact. And it is the beta readers who could tell me, as a reader, did I accomplish that? Although normally where it comes in and is more important is where I did not accomplish it and I missed the mark. And I think it does it. But when the readers are like, it doesn't, I mean, that's incredibly valuable information to have before I've published it. So,
right.
So beta readers.
Okay, so cheers to both anyways. Okay, so we're running a little late. So if you're tuning in now, which Pay is, and you're looking for new books, we have Courtney C.L. Cannon with the Indie Connection. So let's go to that. We'll come back to do our closing arguments and statements. And then the last 5 minutes of however long the show is. Sorry, Joe. I go long.
It's more for him to edit, so it's cool. Yeah.
No, because this is live.
Yeah, it's live.
Oh, crap. So sorry, Joe.
So without further ado, the Indie Connection with you guys.
Hey guys, C.L. Cannon here from Fiction Atlas Press, bringing you another Indie Connection. And this week we are going to be talking about books that you might enjoy if you like A Lesson in Vengeance by Victoria Lee. The first book I have for you is called Girls Make Graves by Stephanie Holmes. I'm always the good girl. I never stand out. I follow the rules. At Blackfriars University, there's one whispered rule. Stay inside the night before Halloween. Hide under your blankets and hope the Orpheus Society isn't the monster outside your window. If they get you, you won't just be humiliated. They'll put you 6 feet under. But I've screwed up. I found bones in a shallow grave. Another good girl, just like me. Now I'll do whatever it takes to get to the truth. I'll catch the eye of the cruel aristocrat with a haunted gaze. I'll tempt the dark priest with forbidden tastes. I'll be their shameful little secret, their plaything, their sacrifice. Maybe I don't want to be a good girl anymore. Maybe it's time to break all the rules. The second book I have for you is called Academy for the Gifted by Hudson Warm. School can be cutthroat. Friends can backstab, literally. Upon arrival at the prestigious Grand Academy for the Gifted, high school senior Bexley Windsor quickly realizes boarding school is far from a liberating escape from her dark past. At her first party, she finds a student's lifeless body sprawled in blood, and she's the only one to blame. Propelled by school-wide murder accusations, Bexley, with the help of 2 peers, works to find the killer, who resides within the academy's walls. But as more discoveries are made, the truth becomes tangled and dangerous. If Bexley fails, she could get expelled, or worse, the killer could strike again. Mystery lurks beneath the crawling ivy and within the cutthroat elite system, and at Grand Academy, no one can be trusted. The third book I have for you is called Night School by C.J. Daughtery. Allie Sheridan's world is falling apart. Her brothers run away from home, her parents ignore her, and she's just been arrested again. This time her parents have had enough. They cut her off from her friends and send her away to boarding school, far from her London friends. But at Chimera Academy, Allie is soon caught up in the strange activities of a secret group of elite students. When she's attacked late one night, the incident sets off a chain of increasingly violent events. As the school begins to seem like a very dangerous place, she finds out that nothing at Chimera is what it seems to be, and that she is not who she thought she was. And the last book I have for you is called Lucifer's Emblem, Celestial Academy Book 1, by Sarah Bigelow and Molly Zenk. A stolen relic, a false identity, an apocalypse in the making. Zuri knows she's next in line to rule hell, until the theft of a priceless family relic throws her future into chaos. Now, to reclaim what's hers, she must infiltrate the prestigious Celestial Academy, even if it means lying her way in. Miriam's famous Archangel father treats her like she doesn't exist, fueling her insecurity and self-doubt. She pretends she's got it all together until confident badass Zuri ends up as her roommate. The longer they spend together, the harder it is to keep up the facade. When they uncover plans to unleash Armageddon, they have no choice but to come clean. With Zuri's life on the line, her only hope of survival is to trust Miriam. But is their growing bond strong enough to overcome eons of bad blood between fallen and archangels?
Okay, that's all for me this week. I'll see you next week on the Any Connection. Bye.
It's always fascinating how many books she finds, and and it always trips me out that she records in the car. On one occasion,
Yes.
her and Megan were both in a car, and it looked like they were talking in the same car. Anyways,
It was
segue, distracted, shiny thing. Let's do closing statements. Please, wonderful panel, let us know where people can find you, where people can connect, what books you have out. I don't know. Give us a little bit of zhuzh to finish the show. Let's start with Madeline, and then we'll go clockwise.
All right, guys. So as I mentioned earlier, you can find my stuff on my website here. I have the Face Shifter series is out right now. 2 books are coming to finish off that series, probably the end of next year. New trilogy coming out in January. Check it out. It's called Black Flames. It's Ember, book 1. Steamy, smutty book lovers. There you go. You're going to love it. But yeah, and I'm all over social media. I'm doing some author interviews. If anybody's interested, hit me up. We'll get something figured out. But yeah, I mean, just you can find everything on here, my blog and everything. So yeah, check it out, guys. I'd love for you to reach out. Let me know what you think of my work. Reviews are also accepted as well. So yeah. Nikki?
Miss Nikki Nelson Hicks.
Hey, okay. Hi, I'm Nikki Nelson Hicks. You can find all my stuff on my little website right there. The latest thing I have out is Stone Baby. It's an anthology of short stories, Stone Baby and Other Strange Tales. If you like some horror stuff, or if you want just a good old monsters, Rumble. You've got some Mongolian deathworms and some cannibalistic underground dwellers. It's great fun. Other than that, I'm working on a short story anthology that's based around the concept of revenge. So I've got about 6 stories that are coming out in that's coming hopefully in 2022. I'm pushing everything off to 2022. I keep forgetting we only got 1 freaking month left of this horrible year. And so that, other than that, you can find me anywhere on Twitter, on TikTok, on Facebook, on YouTube. You can find me pretty much anywhere. I'm kind of a whore. I'm everywhere. So if you like my stuff, please, review it on Amazon, The Great Evil, but it is what it is. Or send me an email via my website there. I'd love to hear from people. Really, I'm a very lonely soul. Never leave the room. So,
Mr. Lar.
All right. Yeah, my website, my crappy website is the place to go. I don't put a lot of effort into it, but it does list all the books and my newsletters. I have one for humor, one for fantasy. Right now I have the Cathaldi Chronicles, a fantasy trilogy that is told by a sarcastic thief. And that box set will be coming out in about 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks. And then that's the world that the anthology is in that'll come out hopefully early next year. And then I have a book called You're Stupid as You Are Fat, How to Talk to Women. That is a self-help book. And then it'll be followed by its sequel, I'm Glad You Lost the Baby, because I think you'd make a terrible mother.
God.
I'm just kidding. I can't even write that one. Just coming up with the title was so bad. I'm like,
oh God.
You were going to
but I do love it.
hell.
I have to say, I really love that title. But
It's a great title. It's a great title.
It would be an
but
evil
man,
book. But although if enough people wanted it, I would write it because
You'd be up there with Tucker Dale.
but-
It would be bad. Oh, geez.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh.
And then hopefully before the end of the year, but maybe in early January, because we don't even have the cover yet, is my humorous science fiction book. You get what you steal, because apparently all my books have to have stealing or thieves in it. I'm not sure why that's not a huge part of my life.
She is blushing.
Is stealing. But
You are.
all right.
Blushing.
So there you go. That's my stuff. And all my books are available on Amazon, but the anthology will be wide. The Cathaldi anthology will be wide. Yeah.
Okay.
So I love you all. Blah blah blah. Thankful, grateful.
I'm JD Estrada. I am an indie author from Puerto Rico. JD Estrada writer. You can check me out at Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all that stuff. I'm not going to take any more time from the last 5 minutes, which go to Miss Margaret Pinard.
All right. And for my outro, I would just say, yeah, I have 5 books. They're old. There's Memories Hostage, Historical Mystery. There's Dulcie's Legacy, YA Supernatural. And there's the trilogy, which is The Caning, Grasping Root, and Stormwreck and Spindrift. If anyone likes historical fiction in this gang and wants to escape. And so I was given this assignment, and I understood it because I have a poetry guru on this panel. So I went with something in the mood, since we're going to be embarking on the holidays soon. And I wanted to, give a little tribute to JD, the poetry guru here. I thought I'd go with a parody of 'Twas the Night Before Christmas for the week. And so that is originally by Clement Clark Moore. I'm sure you've all heard this poem. And this includes, my version includes a reference to Ice Planet Barbarians. See if you can catch it. 'Twas the last day of Nano, when all through the house, all the creatures were writing, even the mouse. The website was open, the badges accruing, while others their grace day or 3 were a-ruing. The spouses and partners had eyes all bugged out, not used to this workload, helpful of being dug out. When the writers would come back to them, no longer insane, chained to the keyboard, shouting, "Not the right name!" They moaned, they chanted, they swiped at their eyes, while their wrists creaked and cracked, and they dropped like flies. But onward they trudged through the potholes and fray, word by word trying for that 50K. When what to our wondering eyes should appear but a blue alien in assless chaps calling us dear? Could we tear our eyes from the screen, that white space of death, to take in the marvel that was this character giving us new breath? Our out went thoughts of laundry, of jobs and gifts, any guilt over Thanksgiving, relatives and rifts. Now we had a God machine, inspiration, divine. We just had to harness him to work. Fine. What do you need, sir, to help me drive it home? Came the calls of fellow writers, likewise on the roam. Look up Solstice and Moss and Murano Glass, he told me as I leaned out for a glance at his spectacles. Google Earth Gowns from 1884 and this imported frog, he told my neighbor who was completely agog. Did you check yesterday's backup for what was lost? He asked my particularly distraught neighbor, Joss. And do you remember that gun on the desk from page 10? He asked a suddenly hyperventilating friend, Ben. Looks like my job here is done, he said, glancing around. And while most rejoiced, I howled like a hound. Oh no, I didn't try to win this year, said I. And why is that? Have you no faith, not even to try? Well, with the panini, the unemployment, the isolation, stop. I'll tell you what's needed in this situation. Whereupon he dematerialized in front of my face. The sun and the moon chased each other across time and space. I felt myself hurtled back in time like a shot until the heaving stopped and I threw up in a pot. Looking around bewildered, I hoped for a clean start, but all I saw was my street, empty as a Kmart. Then the nausea settled and the air went flat, and little blue sparks floated over to where I sat, contemplating whether I should start on November 1. And for some reason, I paused and felt the race could be won. So I redid November, writing about blue aliens and such, not worrying about how the romance might be a bit much. I laughed and I cried along with thousands of others on YouTube, on BookTube, AuthorTube, and its mothers. until that last week came again, and I knew he'd be back. My spirits restored, my faith in myself intact. And I could answer his, how about now? A good time, I trow? It's always a good time to go Indy now.
And with that,
That's beautiful. That's
this
gorgeous.
is our thankfulness. Cheers.